Royal Enfield makes some of the best bargains in motorcycling and some of the easiest mistakes. Today, we're ranking every Royal Enfield sold in the US, from the 6 you should avoid to the 8 that are genuinely worth your money. Because the wrong choice won't just feel slow on the highway, it will cost you in resale, upgrades, and regret. And most riders don't figure that out until they're already stuck with it. If you care about buying right the first time, stay with me. Number 6. Royal Enfield Bullet 350. Starting our countdown of the 6 worst Royal Enfields currently sold in the United States, the Bullet 350 earns its place for one simple reason. It asks modern riders to accept yesterday's limits. The Bullet walks in wearing history. Proudly long chrome fenders, spoked wheels, and a silhouette pulled straight from another ERA. For riders drawn to tradition, that first impression can feel meaningful. But ownership is not about first impressions. It is about how a machine performs on real American roads. This 349 cubic centimeter single makes just over 20 horsepower and sends it through a 5-speed gearbox. Around town, it feels calm and easygoing. It will cruise Main Street without protest, yet merge onto an interstate and the story shifts. Acceleration thins out, passing requires patience, and the engine feels busy holding modern traffic pace. At roughly 430 pounds wet, it carries substantial weight for modest output, and that imbalance shows when you ask for urgency. New pricing hovers just under $5,000. Lightly used examples are not dramatically less. At that investment level, riders expect contemporary lighting, sharper braking feel, and a chassis that responds with confidence. Instead, the Bullet leans heavily on nostalgia while offering very little advancement. It is not broken. It is simply stuck in a time capsule. If smart buying decisions matter to you, hit the like button, drop a hype in the comment, and subscribe. That is what keeps this channel honest and buyer-focused. Bullet is simply locked in a time capsule, and that makes it a poor fit for buyers who value real-world usability over historical charm. And that exact limitation leads directly to the next machine, one that tried to keep the same small engine formula, but promised to shed weight, sharpen handling, and feel more at home in today's traffic. Number 5. Royal Enfield Hunter 350. If the Bullet leans on heritage, the Hunter 350 leans on attitude. Short wheelbase, compact stance, urban swagger. On a showroom floor, it looks like an easy yes. In tight city blocks, it behaves that way too. The 349 cubic centimeter single feels light on its feet, and the bike responds quickly at low speeds. For short hops and neighborhood errands, it makes sense. Then you leave town. That same engine, producing just over 20 horsepower through a 5-speed transmission, runs out of breath as speeds climb. Holding steady at typical American freeway, pace feels strained. Passing requires a long runway. The shorter gearing that makes it lively downtown becomes a liability once traffic starts flowing faster and heavier. Suspension tuning does not help its case. The ride can feel abrupt over broken pavement, and longer stretches in the saddle expose its limited touring comfort. New pricing begins around the $4,000 mark, yet out the door totals often stretch higher than buyers expect. Used examples are not dramatically cheaper. But once speeds climb, the same 349 cubic centimeter ceiling returns. Short gearing and limited top-end power make highway riding feel strained. That limitation is exactly why attention shifts to the next step. The bike Royal Enfield framed as its true US cruiser. Longer, lower, and built for comfort. The question is whether comfort alone is enough to escape the avoid list. Number 4. Royal Enfield Meteor 350. The Meteor 350 arrives dressed for the part. Low seat, relaxed bars, forward controls that promise easy miles and sunset cruises. At first glance, it feels like Royal Enfield finally built the entry-level cruiser American riders have been waiting for. Then you merge onto the freeway. The same 349 cubic centimeter single found in its siblings produces just over 20 horsepower. Around town, that gentle pull feels manageable. But when traffic moves at real interstate pace, the Meteor works harder than it should. Rolling past 70 miles per hour brings noticeable vibration through the pegs and bars, and overtaking faster vehicles demands more planning than confidence. Now I want to ask you something specific. If you have ridden the Meteor 350 on American highways, did it feel composed at 75? Or did you find yourself wishing for more engine the moment traffic picked up? Share your real-world experience in the comments, because honest highway feedback is what helps future buyers. Separate cruiser styling from cruiser capability. At roughly 420 pounds wet, it carries cruiser weight without cruiser muscle. That mismatch becomes obvious on open stretches where torque matters. New pricing edges close to $5,000 depending on trim, and lightly used examples remain surprisingly firm. Yes, the seat height is friendly. Yes, it looks sharp parked outside a diner. But style and comfort cannot compensate for limited highway authority. And the next motorcycle proves that leaning harder into retro appeal creates an entirely different kind of compromise. Number 3, Royal Enfield Classic 350. Here is where nostalgia starts working against you. The Classic 350 might be the most photogenic motorcycle Royal Enfield builds. Deep valanced fenders, vintage paint schemes, that old-world silhouette that looks like it rolled out of a black and white photograph. But once you ride it in modern America, romance meets reality. It runs the same 349 cubic centimeter single, making just over 20 horsepower through a 5-speed gearbox. Around relaxed back roads, it feels pleasant enough, yet blend into fast freeway traffic, and the engine begins to feel stretched thin. Cruising beyond typical secondary highway speeds introduces vibration, and quick passes require careful timing rather than instinct. At roughly 430 pounds wet, it carries substantial heft without delivering meaningful acceleration. New pricing climbs toward $5,000 before fees, and used examples hold their value surprisingly firm. The Classic sells an image beautifully. It simply does not back that image with performance suited for today's American pace. But design alone cannot overcome limited power and soft suspension at speed. That reality pushes the countdown forward. If 350 cubic centimeter singles feel stretched in the US, the next logical answer is more displacement, and a bike marketed as tougher, more versatile, and more capable. Number 2, Royal Enfield Scram 411. Now the disappointment becomes harder to ignore. The Scram 411 was introduced as the urban-friendly spin on the Himalayan idea. Less adventure bulk, more street attitude, a motorcycle meant to bridge weekday, commuting, and weekend exploring. That promise sounds smart. In practice, it lands in an awkward middle ground. The 411 cubic centimeter single produces roughly 24 horsepower through a 5-speed gearbox. On paper, that looks like a step forward from the 350 lineup. Yet with a wet weight hovering in the low 400-pound range, the added displacement does not translate into meaningful highway authority. Push past 70 miles per hour and the engine feels busy. Climb a long grade or ride into stiff wind and momentum fades quickly. It is capable of reaching freeway speed, but sustaining it comfortably is another matter. New pricing sat just above $5,000, and used examples still command $4,000. For that investment, riders expect versatility. Instead, the Scram feels like a compromise in every direction. If you've been here a while, you already know what Iron Pulse is about. We drop the essentials: old school, rider-made style; the cap, for long miles and windy days; the T, for the garage, the ride, and everywhere in between; the mug, for early starts and late nights planning the next run. No hype, just the mark. 20% off right now. Link in the description down below. The Scram 411 brings a small bump in power, but vibration and compromise keep it from fully delivering. And that tension leads directly to the final step. Because the next machine is not a variation, it is the full expression of the 411 platform. And that is exactly why it earns the #1 worst spot. Number 1, Royal Enfield Himalayan 411. Here it is. The concept everyone wanted to love. The Himalayan 411 arrived with real promise. Tall stance, 19 and 21-inch wheels, long travel suspension. It looked like an affordable passport to backcountry exploring. But in the United States, distance changes everything. That 411 cubic centimeter single produces roughly 24 horsepower through a 5-speed gearbox, pushing nearly 440 pounds wet. Around town and on slower secondary roads, it feels tractable and friendly. Stretch it onto open interstate where traffic flows hard and fast, and the engine begins to feel outmatched. Holding steady near typical freeway pace introduces vibration, and passing requires patience you may not always have. When new, pricing sat in the mid-$5,000 range before fees. Today, clean used examples still command solid money. For that investment, riders expect performance margin. The Himalayan delivers character. It delivers affordability. It does not deliver the highway authority American travel demands. And with that, we finish the 6 worst Royal Enfield motorcycles currently sold in the United States. If you have owned any of these or walked away from one, drop your experience in the comments. Agree with the list, disagree, your perspective helps other riders avoid expensive mistakes. And if this breakdown is useful, hit like and subscribe. That is how this channel stays honest and buyer-focused. Now the shift happens. Beyond the aging 411 platform, riders wanted more than tweaks. They wanted real highway authority. That demand gives rise to the next 8 must-buy Royal Enfields, machines with bigger engines, stronger gearboxes, and true US-ready performance. This is the answer that officially opens the must-buy chapter of our countdown. Number 8. Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. The Interceptor 650 steps into this countdown like the honest workhorse of the lineup. Not flashy, not overloaded with technology, but built around something riders over 40 still deeply appreciate: a real twin-cylinder engine that feels alive beneath you. In today's American market, it is getting harder to find a genuine parallel twin that does not demand a painful monthly payment. Yet this machine delivers a 648 cubic centimeter AIR and oil-cooled twin, producing roughly 47 horsepower and about 38 pound-feet of torque. That output is not intimidating, it is usable. It pulls cleanly onto the freeway, settles comfortably at highway speeds, and feels relaxed on long stretches of open asphalt. New models typically land between roughly $6,100 and just over $7,000 depending on paint and dealer fees. That alone makes it compelling. But the used market is where this bike becomes a true opportunity. Clean examples from recent years often range from the mid-$3,000 bracket up to around $5,000, putting authentic twin-cylinder ownership within reach without draining retirement savings. Its upright ergonomics, neutral handling, and classic British roadster silhouette create something many riders quietly crave: simplicity with character. No gimmicks, no unnecessary complexity. Just a machine that reminds you why you started riding in the first place. The Interceptor 650 earns its place at number 8 because it proves value and soul can coexist. But as solid as this entry point is, some want sharper steering. Lower bars, a more aggressive stance that leans into the corners instead of cruising through them. And that preference naturally shifts attention to the next machine, built on the same twin-cylinder platform, yet tuned for a more focused riding posture and cafe-inspired edge. The platform stays strong, the personality steps forward. Number 7. Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. If number 8 was the honest roadster, this is the sharp-dressed rebel of the family, the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. Same mechanical heart, completely different attitude. Beneath that sculpted tank lives the same 648 cubic centimeter AIR and oil-cooled parallel twin, producing roughly 47 horsepower and about 38 pound-feet of torque. But here, the experience changes. The lower clip-on bars, rear set pegs, and slightly firmer suspension transform that smooth mid-range pull into something far more engaging. This bike does not just cruise, it encourages you to lean, to downshift, to feel connected to every stretch of winding pavement. Highway riding feels planted and composed, yet the real charm shows up on back roads where the chassis responds with precision and clarity. It feels tighter, more deliberate, more focused than its upright sibling. If you have taken the GT650 out on back roads, what did you notice most? The lean, the chassis response, or the highway feel? Drop your experience in the comments because sharing real feedback helps riders decide if this cafe machine lives up to the hype. New pricing typically falls between roughly $6,300 and just over $7,000. On the used market, clean examples often appear from the mid-$3,000 range up towards $6,000, an extraordinary value for a true twin-cylinder cafe machine. The Continental GT 650 earns number 7 because it blends heritage styling with real mechanical substance. But if this bike sharpens the formula, the next one reshapes it entirely and shifts the tone from cafe corner carver to something far more modern and unexpected. Number 6, Royal Enfield Shotgun 650. Now the tone shifts. The Royal Enfield Shotgun 650 does not try to look like a traditional roadster or a cafe machine. It leans into something moodier, lower, broader, and unmistakably custom-inspired. This is the bike for the rider who wants presence without sacrificing everyday usability. It carries the familiar 648 cubic centimeter air and oil-cooled parallel twin, delivering roughly 47 horsepower and about 38 pound-feet of torque through a smooth 6-speed gearbox. But here, the delivery feels relaxed and deliberate. Roll-on acceleration is confident without being aggressive, making highway merges and steady interstate cruising feel composed rather than rushed. New models typically sit just under $7,000 and climb slightly depending on finish. On the pre-owned market, early examples are already appearing in the mid-$5,000 range, which makes this machine especially attractive for riders who appreciate value. What sets the Shotgun apart is its stance and suspension tuning. It feels planted, stable, and comfortable for longer stretches than its silhouette might suggest. Add in the 3-year unlimited mileage warranty and dual-channel anti-lock braking system, and you have peace of mind baked in. The Shotgun 650 proved that raw power and presence do not always translate into everyday practicality. Its torque-heavy punch can feel impressive, but sometimes overwhelming for US roads. And that gap is exactly what makes riders turn their attention to the next machine in the lineup, a bike built to offer a lighter, more agile experience without sacrificing the brand's signature character. Number 5, Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450. Here is where the story changes. The Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450 proves this brand is no longer leaning only on nostalgia. It represents forward motion, lighter, sharper, and engineered for modern American riding conditions. At its heart sits a 452 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled single-cylinder engine producing roughly 40 horsepower and about 30 pound-feet of torque. Paired with a 6-speed transmission and slip-assist clutch, this power plant feels nothing like the older air-cooled thumpers many riders remember. Temperature stability on long summer freeway runs is no longer a question mark. It holds steady, even during extended high-speed stretches. Out on the road, the Guerrilla feels eager and precise. 70-mile-per-hour cruising is realistic, not stressful. Around town, it feels nimble without being twitchy. The upright riding position keeps your back neutral and your arms relaxed, something riders over 40 immediately appreciate. Pricing is another strong argument. New models begin in the mid-$5,000 range, with early used listings appearing slightly below that mark. The Guerrilla 450 delivers nimble handling and approachable power, but its smaller engine leaves riders dreaming of more torque and long-distance authority. And that very limitation is exactly why attention now shifts to the next machine in our countdown. A bike that blends vintage charm with a bigger, bolder engine, designed for confident rides on both city streets and open highways. Number 4, Royal Enfield Classic 650. Now we move into the upper tier of this countdown, and this machine carries something deeper than performance alone. It carries presence. The Royal Enfield Classic 650 blends old-world design with modern twin-cylinder muscle in a way very few motorcycles on American roads currently manage. At its heart sits the proven 648 cubic centimeter air and oil-cooled parallel twin, producing roughly 47 horsepower and about 38 pound-feet of torque through a smooth 6-speed gearbox with a slipper clutch. The delivery is strong through the middle of the rev range, exactly where American riders live when cruising between 60 and 75 miles per hour. Roll-on acceleration feels steady and confident without frantic downshifting. What separates the Classic 650 is how it presents that strength. Wide handlebars, a neutral upright posture, and a deeply padded saddle create a relaxed, commanding feel. The chassis favors stability over aggression, making it ideal for commuting, weekend touring, and unhurried highway miles. New pricing typically starts in the upper $6,000 range and climbs into the low $7,000 bracket. Early used examples are already appearing slightly below that window. It earns number 4 because it delivers heritage without sacrificing usability. But heritage styling does not solve every rider's need. Some buyers are not searching for nostalgia, they are searching for versatility, ground clearance, modern suspension, updated electronics, a machine ready for both interstate stretches and unpaved detours. And that shift in demand pulls us toward the next machine, a completely new platform. Liquid-cooled, 40 horsepower, 6-speed transmission. Not a refinement of the past, but a technical step ahead. Number 3, Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. This is where the conversation shifts from style to serious versatility. The Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 is not a mild refresh. It is a full reinvention of what Royal Enfield can build. At its core sits a 452 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled single, producing roughly 40 horsepower and about 30 pound-feet of torque, paired to a 6-speed gearbox with a slip and assist clutch. That liquid cooling changes everything for American riders. In desert heat, summer traffic, or extended freeway runs, the engine stays composed instead of strained. Out on the highway, cruising at 70 to 75 miles per hour feels stable and controlled. The added power over the older platform makes passing less stressful, while the 6th gear keeps revs relaxed. Off pavement, long travel suspension, a 21-inch front wheel, and generous ground clearance allow it to glide from asphalt to gravel without hesitation. Pricing typically begins in the upper $5,000 range and stretches just past $6,000 depending on trim. For a machine with ride-by-wire throttle, switchable anti-lock braking, and a modern TFT display, that is a powerful value statement. The Himalayan 450 marks a turning point. Liquid cooling, roughly 40 horsepower, TFT display, true 6-speed gearing. For the first time, Royal Enfield's adventure platform feels genuinely competitive on US roads. But while the 450 platform improves versatility, it does not carry the effortless torque of the 650 twin. And torque still matters, especially when riders want flexibility without revving hard at highway speed. That reality brings attention to the next machine, a scrambler-inspired evolution of the proven 648 cubic centimeter twin. More suspension travel, broader stance, street and light off-road balance. It blends twin-cylinder strength with multi-purpose ambition. The next step forward merges power with adaptability. Number 2, Royal Enfield Bear 650. Now we step into something more adventurous. The Royal Enfield Bear 650 is not built to stay confined to clean pavement. It takes the brand's proven 648 cubic centimeter air and oil-cooled parallel twin, delivering roughly 47 horsepower and about 38 pound-feet of torque, and gives it a broader mission. That engine has already earned trust across the 650 lineup. It pulls smoothly through the mid-range, settles comfortably at freeway speeds, and never feels strained during steady 70-mile-per-hour cruising. But the Bear reshapes the experience with revised suspension tuning, upright ergonomics, and scrambler stance. The riding position feels open and natural, ideal for long afternoons in the saddle. And when the pavement breaks into gravel or a dusty back road, the chassis remains composed instead of nervous. New models typically begin in the upper $6,000 range and move slightly higher depending on trim. Early pre-owned examples are appearing just below that mark, keeping the value conversation strong. The Bear 650 blends street confidence with light exploration, capability without becoming complicated or expensive. If this breakdown is helping you cut through the emotion and focus on smart buying decisions, hit the like button. And if you want to support the channel further, plus get early access to deep dives on used pricing trends and long-term reliability, consider becoming a member. Now let us settle this. The Bear 650 is one of the most balanced expressions of Royal Enfield's twin platform, versatile, stable at speed, and full of character. But balance alone does not earn the top spot. The final spot has to serve the widest range of US riders, deliver true highway confidence, long-term reliability, and strong value. And that brings us to the final machine, the most complete buy in Royal Enfield's American lineup. Not the most extreme, just the right answer. Number 1, Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650, and this is where the crown lands. The Super Meteor 650 is not trying to be everything. It focuses on what American riders actually do: long highway stretches, steady backroad miles, and relaxed weekend rides with real comfort built in. At the center is the proven 648 cubic centimeter air and oil-cooled parallel twin, producing roughly 47 horsepower and about 38 pound-feet of torque, paired with a smooth 6-speed transmission and slip-assist clutch. That engine no longer needs to prove itself. It delivers steady pull without drama and settles into freeway pace without feeling busy or strained. What pushes it to number 1 is how naturally it fits the American road. The low seat height, forward controls, and wide handlebar create an open, confident riding posture. At 70 mph cruising speeds, the chassis feels planted and unshaken. It carries weight low, which inspires confidence for newer riders, while still satisfying experienced ones who value stability over flash. New pricing typically begins just under $7,000, with higher trims moving slightly beyond that. Pre-owned examples frequently land well below $6,000, making this a serious value in the middleweight cruiser world. The Super Meteor 650 earns the top position because it blends durability, comfort, and highway composure into one honest package. But here is the real question. After seeing the entire lineup climb from classic roadster to full cruiser authority, which direction fits your riding life best? And if this video made you rethink which Royal Enfield actually deserves your money, do not stop here. Click the next video and keep the road trip going, because the next breakdown might protect you from an even bigger mistake. Join our tribe by subscribing. That is how you stay ahead of bad buys and overpriced hype. And if you want early access to upcoming rankings, deeper market analysis, and member-only comparisons, become a channel member.